Okay, I'm going to call this special meeting of the Board of Equalization to order. Today is Wednesday, April the 2nd. It is now 9:30. Roll call, Mr. Fred Town.
Present.
Ms. Teresa Sellers.
Present.
And I'm Eleanor Thompson. And notice of this meeting was posted properly on March the 28th, 2025. We have several items before the board today. Let's see, to the gentleman, what's your name?
My name?
Yes.
Preston.
Okay, so you're the item 6. So we have scheduled at this moment 7 items on the agenda, and 1 has been moved. This is how we operate. Is this your first time in front of us? Okay. So the assessor has set a valuation on your property. Obviously, you disagree with it. There's a presumption of fairness and adequacy of their assessment until you come and tell us that it's not. And this is an appellate board, so whatever you're appealing their valuation. You cannot give us new information that you didn't give to them in your preliminary. But if you have new information and they don't mind, we'll accept it. Okay, we'll hear from you when it's your turn. Then we'll hear from them. We give you the final word. We don't make the decision today. Friday is our decision day. And so we'll meet and make our determination then. And then by mail, you will get our decision. So probably by Monday, you'll have a letter from the board. Okay. Okay, so the first item on the agenda is BOE number 33, address 14470 Norton Drive, Choctaw. The account number is R 1978 41 275. So we'll hear from the property owner first.
As I stated before, I feel like the fair rental market value should be 100 times the rent. And so far, we haven't got very close to that number, but I guess in addition to, like for this premise to be considered, that we're being taxed on the sale that hasn't happened yet, so to speak, and the county's assessment might be advantageous to someone that needs to furnish a financial statement to a bank, but not any value to me. So I would encourage the board to consider the 1% per month times 100 to be a fair rental market valuation.
And what value did you want us to give to?
This particular one, 95,000.
So we'll hear from the assessor.
All right. Northeast 36 and North Henny is where this is located, 14470 Norton Drive. We noticed him 125,500, and we actually lowered it at the informal to 113,450. We had it on for last year. All the comps that we used were in 2024. Median was 113,450 with a mean of 114,882. So that's why we did lower it. And something he mentioned that was different, that you're not being taxed on that number, what the market value is. Your taxable on all of these are much, much lower. I know we don't associate that, but I wanted to touch base on that part. Your taxable is nowhere near any of these market values because you've had the properties for so long. So,
What's the square footage on this?
oh yes, I'm sorry, 1,086.
You said you lowered it because of the mean?
Median,
The median value?
yes,
What was the median value again?
113,450.
Can you confirm 2024 fair market value? Because I showed it was different than what you just said.
So it was originally 111,000, and then actually here at the board last year it was dropped to 98,000.
Okay. We're gonna close BOE number 33 and move to the next item on the agenda, which is BOE number 34. Street address 3184 Cox Street, residential number 1978, 51245. What value would you like for us to have?
$120,000, and this particular property was purchased in 22 for $51,000. And that doesn't seem to matter as far as the valuation, as far as the county is concerned. But,
What kind of sale was it? Was it a horse sale? Was it a?
it was not a for sale. The property owner came to me and offered it to me at a price. I accepted his offer and paid him. I mean, I didn't know him. Just the way it was. I mean, what you're asking, was it arm's length transaction?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It must have been.
And that was in 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's from the assessor.
The purchase was a settle and estate. That's why it was so cheap.
It was a what?
Settle
Settle.
and estate. So that's why we don't use that cell. On this one, we noticed them for 157.5. Last or 2024, it was on for 135,500. 23 was 133,000. The 6 comps that we ran, all the comps are in 2024. The median and the mean are both higher than what he's currently on for. Median is 162,615. Mean is 162,521. The square footage on this property is 1,174 square feet. And this one again is also located off of Northeast 36th and Choctaw.
This one doesn't have a garage.
It is converted, finished converted.
So it got included on the square footage because it can't be put.
Well, it's not in the square footage because it's not on the same plan. Yeah, foundation. That's where it went for.
Yes.
Okay, you mentioned that it was to settle the estate. It may have
Oh,
settled
we
the estate.
closed that one.
I'm sorry?
No, that was this one. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You mentioned that it was to settle the estate, and it might have settled the estate, but that was not the reason for the sale.
Meaning it was not ordered by the court to be sold,
No.
but it was sold before the estate closed.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna close BOE number 34 and open BOE number 35, 14488. Is this Jess Drive or Jesse Drive?
I don't know.
Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, what would you like for us to set the fair market value of this at?
80,000.
Okay,
It's based on the current rent,
Sure.
current use as a rental property. And, again,
is this a recent purchase or have you had this
I've
before?
had this for a while.
Okay,
I don't have, the only recent purchase was the one in 22.
okay,
From a owner occupied standpoint, I feel like the value of the property differs if we have a concentration of tenant occupied structures. And I think all the ones that we're looking at are tenant occupied. Now, personally, not to say any derogatory remarks, but if I chose, I'd rather not live in a tenant occupied neighborhood. And I think that does affect the value of the property.
we'll hear from the assessor.
Okay, this property is located at Northeast 23rd and Choctaw Road. We noticed him at 160,500. In 24, it was 124,000, and in 23, it was 120,500. The comps that we ran were all in 24. The median is 162,293, and the mean was 162,205. They're both higher than what he's currently on for. Square footage on this property is 1,150 square feet.
Do we have an explanation for why there's such a vast difference between last year's valuation and this one? It was valued at 124,000 last year, and now we're setting it at 160.
Because the comps that everything that was selling in that area were selling for much more for that size of a house. So that's the market is telling us that the values needed to go up for that size of a home that are very comparable. The adjustments are very minimal compared to some others. I mean,
We just don't usually see that wide gap between last year and this year.
right. And depending on the area, some did go up more than the average of Oklahoma County. It's just part of it on this one. I mean, these are pretty good adjustments, pretty good comps. I mean, they're all within 150 square feet. I mean, some are like comp 6 there. It sold for 160 and it's 2 square feet bigger. And it's the same age. Very minimal adjustments.
That was more than 2.5 miles away.
Well, when he owns all of them around him, I do have to go outside.
Is
I
this
figured that was probably the case.
is this is the intersection? It's near the school.
I believe so. Can you pull?
Yeah.
It's okay, but where's this? Oh, it's right there. Yeah, yeah, it's literally right next to it.
Mhm.
So that can definitely see why that one would have increased because of the location of it.
Do you remember what the average of the Choctaw Township was last year?
Not offhand.
I
It's
can look it
I will start bringing that.
up. This is a 22% increase year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna close BOE number 35.
Choctaw was 6.971.
6.976 point. And what did you say, Brett?
I think it was 22% increase.
Okay, last year.
Okay, I'm gonna close BOE number 35 and we'll open BOE number 36. 3076 North Henry Road, R 1966, 71040. What would you like for us to set the fair market value of this?
50,000.
Okay. So, here's from the assessor.
3076 North Henny Road is located off of Northeast 36 in Henny. We noticed him at 89,500. We lowered it to 75,780 at the informal.
Okay.
2024's value is 84,500. 23 was 95,500. Reason we lowered it is because the median and the mean were lower than what we noticed them for. Median was 75,781. The mean was 77,913. This one we had comps in 23 and in 24. Again, this one was a little bit harder to find comps for because it is a smaller home. It is 784 square feet. So again, I think that's more than justified lowering it as much as we did based on those comps.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna close BOE.
Wait.
He wasn't asking for a second. Sorry.
This particular house is basic. It does not have any central heat and air. It's 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's I guess it's almost dilapidated, and I mean, I would encourage.
What do you have it insured for?
I don't even have insurance on it. That's another thing that's become difficult, is to get insurance on a structure and rental property. It's just impossible to get insurance. Some of them I don't have insurance because they won't insure. It's frustrating to be, you know, go through the process and then say, well, we'll insure this one and this one, but not this and this and this one. So they pick and choose. And
Did you, present the, information that you just stated, no central heat and air, and that fact that it's dilapidated or
that's
repairs?
new information that we consider.
Okay. Yeah, I would suggest if you, dispute this again next year, that you provide that information to the assessor's office before you come here, and that might give you an argument for reducing
Thank you.
the value.
We don't have it as central heat in there already.
But if it's dilapidated and requires repairs.
Yeah,
you might
that's
consider
definitely
that, right.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anything, Brett? I'm gonna close BOE number 36. Number 49 has been moved, so the next one is BOE number 50.
Mr. Boyd, I apologize, we couldn't meet last Friday. I hit go to the hospital, so we couldn't rule. We'll be ruling on those from the previous week this week.
She worked it out.
Good, she just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah. Okay, this is BOE number 50. You kind of heard, huh? 6708 North. Is this St. Clair? Okay, residential R 142, 461, 390. What would you like to have this valued?
So I submitted a whole write-up. I didn't know if the board had already.
Yeah, we've got it.
Yes.
Okay. The value I've suggested to the county in this meeting would be 300,000, 300,500-ish, 300,500. The methodology, do you want me to go through?
Yes.
Okay. The methodology I used was based on actual markets. I don't have the view that they do to everything else. However, what I aimed to do was use recent sales in the immediate vicinity. An attachment of those sales was included to the county and should have been included, a copy of which was included to the board here. I was notified that I did include a 2020, effective 2025 sale, and I get the exclusion of that. There were still 6 other comparables in there,
Yes.
and they had a range of values. I couldn't measure the average here, but I mean, on average, we got 136, 131, 140. Some were higher, some were lower. I used 132 per square foot and I multiplied that by the square. Oh, awesome! Thank you. So that's what I used. I noticed that in this case, there was one of the comps, the lowest one that wasn't in 2025 was deemed invalid because it was a sale to an investor. I failed to see how such a comp wouldn't be included if there is something to be said for the neighborhood and the kind of general idea of housing in the area. An average still seemed appropriate between what was high, what was low, and what was in the middle.
Right.
So if something is needing update, aged, that kind of thing, that represents low end of the spectrum. If the 161s and 155 per square foot represent the most up to date and high end of the spectrum, and you can see there's 131, 136, and 140, those represent a mid range, then picking 132 as my average didn't seem inappropriate.
Did you change your valuation when you took out the sale, the 25 sale? You didn't redo it.
I would say, I think I did a rough number, but I didn't actually resend it because that wasn't included. If I remember right, it would have adjusted up to like 136, 138, 140, still within that range. And to be fair, if 300,500 is not acceptable to the board, the current value being taxed is 325. If 315 were deemed to be like a remeasure to 315, 314, 312 were deemed to be appropriate based on facts and circumstances available in the evidence, I would happily accept that as well. I'm not set on 300, less than 325. So.
Okay. We don't concern ourselves with taxable value.
Okay.
Only fair market value, what a willing buyer and a willing seller agrees upon. Now, about the investor sale, there's certain transactions that we don't consider arm's length, like coming out of an estate may be a distress sale or a
Right.
sheriff's sale. Or an investor, maybe I can see where you think that's not quite the same, but investors kind of go to the low end.
I do understand that.
Right.
And appraisals are not unique to me. I'm not a CPA. I've seen it in my profession quite often. Where I struggled, and this is outlined in the details of why I felt it was appropriate to include them,
Sure.
is in the comparables, and I don't know if that one, the pages that have, like we saw with the gentleman before,
Yes.
that have the breakdown about grade, quality, age.
Right.
I really, if I understand as it was explained to me, I understand where you're coming from. Taxable is not your driver, fair value is. Although if I understood what the agent at the county assessor's office explained to me, if fair value was taxable, that would be what it would be adjusted down to. And so that goes back to where I was going. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So where I struggled with some of these is that, and actually this one is the perfect example. That middle row, the one that is 6712 North St. Clair,
Yes.
is exactly next door to my house. Sold on December 13th, 2024, 2 weeks before year end, for $312,500. Not far from the value. In fact, I would accept something comparable to that. What I struggled with is, if I understood as it was explained to me, the comps used go down to the come from the adjusted sale
Yes.
value. So this is suggesting that the county believes that in 2 weeks that house needs a net adjustment of $69,000. I really struggle with that methodology, and that net adjustment, that positive net adjustment, tends to be consistent in all comparables of this case. So it's saying that the actual market value is irrelevant, and there are other variables outside what an arm's length transaction would look to adjust for
Yeah,
market value.
what I noticed in looking at your comps, and I'm gonna let the assessor's office speak to it when it's their turn, but it seemed to me the big difference between your property and the comp properties was the age. They had your age set at 36. Most of them were between 50 and 60 years old. That one in particular was 59.
Well, and my
That's
house
what's
was
biggest
built in the
adjustment.
same year originally.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree.
So
And that's
we'll ask the assessor's office to explain why
okay.
they have yours set at 36 years compared to 50 and 60 for all these, and even the one next door. So we'll let them explain.
And if I may add to that, because I do think that's a fair point, and it's one I addressed in my write-up, why some of the other houses, even not just why mine is up to date, but why the others are all still at their 59-year original age, and none of them are listed as anything younger in relative age, as if they've never been updated in the last 60 years. So
what is the difference in the size of your house and the house next door?
like 10 square feet.
2272 versus 2131.
So 100 square feet ish, not terribly. So, I don't think I have anything in particular, but I'm happy to address any question.
Let's hear from the assessor. And you get the last word. You can
Okay, thank you.
respond to them. Okay.
Mr. Biller's residence, 6708 North St. Clair Avenue, is off Northwest 63rd and North Portland. 2,272 square feet. It was purchased in July of 17 at $250,000. We have an original year built of 1965 and an effective year built of 1988, because in 2010 there was a 50% remodel on the property. The 2025 value is $356,000, which was at $156.69 a square foot. It was briefly lowered to $350,000, which is $154.05 a square foot. He did request a value of $300,000, which would put him at $132.02 square foot. We looked at the owner's comps, and it supported a value of 344,709. The comps we provided, which required a lot less adjustments, supports a value of $364,087. And then I was just, for the fun of it, I did some research on my own and preparing for today, just kind of see what else was out there. And I looked at some comps in Misterville's neighborhood and can support a value of $372,905. Doesn't mean we're going to put it up to that. I'm just saying. But I mean, the most I can do is, even though we can support a value of 364,087, I mean, I can go down to 344,700, but nothing more than that.
That was your original median, right?
Right, for his comps. They required a lot of bigger adjustments than our comps are in, but I mean, the 344,700 is not far off from where we initially lowered it down to. So I mean, I got no problem going down to 344,700, which I know is not.
Well, give me your median of your own comps.
So the median is 364,087, and the mean is 364,714.
Okay, were you finished?
No, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, do you understand how he arrived at a higher figure based on your comps?
Yes, because of the adjusted value.
Okay, did he respond to the age to your satisfaction? No. Okay, you want to deal with the age.
Now, if some of these other properties have been updated, we have no clue about it, because there's going to be times where if a property has sold and we notice that, and there's an MLS listing out there, and we see that it's been remodeled, then we'll account for that. But there's plenty of times, not just this neighborhood, but anywhere, where a home can be remodeled or updated, but no permits are taken out. And so we have no clue as to what's going on inside that property. And we could go outside, we could take a picture of the outside, and it looks the same as it's always been, but the inside has been completely redone.
Because if there's no heat or air or plumbing or electrical or structural, there's no permit. I mean, if it's just finishes, carpeting, counters, cabinets, there's no permit, right?
Well, yeah, they're supposed to, but yeah, you
don't have.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to, but yeah, with the city of Oklahoma City, there's permits for plumbing, there's permits for electrical, but that information doesn't ever usually get forwarded to us. But when there's an actual remodel going on, all of that's going to be into one, and we'll look at everything as a whole.
Is that 4 acres or is that open?
No, it's open.
It is open.
Yeah.
Okay, now you want to respond.
That's
why he left. That's why he did not adjust the age.
Well, and
You're assuming that they're just commonsensically that there's got to have been some remodeling.
oh, I know that house next door spent 5 months with trash coming out of there, contractors coming out of there. So, and I mean, my wife and I, we watch our neighborhood. I mean, we see these updates. Most of the comps we've chosen are updated homes, but their adjusted age is not included. And while, I mean, I'm not trying to be harsh to the county assessor's office. I can understand it's difficult for them to get that information, but the absence of that information slants everything in their favor. I mean, it basically harshes any argument I can make because of the absence of evidence that I have no access to, but they should.
Because they didn't knock on the door and go in?
I mean, perhaps. That is, I mean, that how do you obtain it, right? I mean, that's the only way I can get it too,
Right.
is to go to each house as it's sold and basically make notes and send it to them and be like, hey, okay, guys, we need to update. But
Now, how long have you been in this house?
I bought it in 2017. My wife and I have been there for 8 years, going on 8 years.
And did you tell us what the purchase price was?
He mentioned it was 250.
250, I have 250,000 dollars saved in 17, okay. Oh, and Mike, did you give us, 22?
So 24's value was 351,500, and then 23 was 319,500.
I struggle with that.
Did
That's
you
quite
dispute either of those?
I did not dispute. The 319 I felt wasn't too far off. And to be fair,
That was 2 years ago, right?
well, that would have been the end of 2023. Yes. So year
The
and a half.
increase last year, so
Yes.
started getting uncomfortable.
Well, yes. Yeah. When we go from 319 to 356 or what is now 344, that's a huge spike. And where I'll be honest, part of what led my motivation on this is the house next door. It's all those improvements. It's watching it sell. And yes, I
And it's sold for what now?
it sold for $312,500 after an original listing of $365,000.
Yeah,
And
because
it's
that's
set
the age
for-
adjustment that does, yeah, because that one came in at 59, just 22.77% adjustment.
Right.
Because of that age.
Therefore, the assessor's willingness to go to the 344 is not good for you.
No.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us?
No, I appreciate your time.
Oh, sure.
I
Okay,
appreciate
so
it.
you do know then that you heard us say that our decision day will be Friday. And you'll get our decision by then.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good day.
Oh, sure. Okay, so we're closing BOE number 50, and are we doing 51 by phone or not?
No, not very long.
Okay.
So in this case.
This is the one that doesn't care if we do it without. Okay. You want to go back and open? Were you finished?
No, I'm through.
Okay. So on 51, I guess we'll hear from the assessor. BOE number 51, we're told that the property owner is not here, does not want to appear by phone, and does not object to us having the hearing without him. The address is 2625 Sweet Briar, resident number 127-77-11-090. So what can you tell us about this?
Well, Mr. William Roberts is no stranger to appealing his value with the assessor's office and with the board. He purchased a home in 1992 for $293,500. We have it at 3,658 square feet. He is located off of East Danforth and North Coltrane. He is the original owner of the house built in 1991. The 2025 value and the notice of decision that we gave him was $619,500, which is $169.35 a square foot. He is requesting $576,207, which is $157.52 a square foot. His initial 2024 value was $601,000. The board lowered it to $559,000. He says that, or Mr. Roberts has said that the assessor's office did not honor the board's decision last year by putting him on for the $559. But we told the appraiser who had the initial hearing told him that every new year brings in a new assessment. So whatever the board lowered him to last year goes away once the new year hits. And
For you all, but not necessarily for us.
well, no, I understand, right? But we've got comps that support the current value. Now, during the initial appeal, the appraiser did say that we can lower him down to $612,310 based on the median value of the comps, but he did not agree with that and just said, just send him the information and he'll go to the board.
Okay, so let's do again, the 619,500 is where you are, but you would be willing to go to 612.
Well, that was offered to him, but
That was
he
offered.
did not take that offer initially at the board or at the informal.
So how did you come up with the 619.5? Because I show that the comps that you provided us didn't come close to that.
No, the comps support what we initially offered him during the
612,
the 612, correct, yes.
Yeah, because that's the median. The
Right.
median was 599,720.
Right.
And then even the percent increase came in at 584. So this, I mean, I have to agree the 619.5 was high. So, but he didn't accept the 612.
Yeah, because we offered him the 612 because that's what the median value came to, and he did not like that number. He said, leave it where it's at and let me go to the board.
The thing that I thought was interesting is that 4 of the 6 comps had quite a bit more square footage than his property, 400 or more square feet difference, it looked like. I mean, comp 3 had 4,351 square feet, and his was 3,658. It's a pretty big difference.
Or it's just
Yeah, but interestingly, that was one of the lower comps. That's what was really interesting about that one, because it's sold or your adjusted value was 472,000. I thought that was pretty interesting. So you kind of did him a favor including it, even though it was quite a bit more.
How close is that?
0.2.
Okay.
So I thought his comps were a little bit interesting, but even still.
Brett, I want to hear from you. Is this your neighborhood?
It's my neighbor.
Okay, so what did you think?
It's an interesting neighborhood because each kind of block, as this thing was built out, it may have a $700,000 home, and it may have the next block even back to it may have a $400,000 home. So it is. If you look at just comps to comps, sometimes it's hard to get it. So you have to adjust the square foot, the materials, the size of the lots, things like that. I'm just looking at the.
Does this one have a pool?
Don't believe so.
yes, it does.
Okay. Which would be added in. What's the value of the pool?
Do you increase the value with a pool or decrease? Sometimes they say.
I just look at the adjustments that they do, right? Because they typically do adjustments if it has. So I go with their adjustments, but I look at the medium and the.
Yeah, it's adding $2,300 to the assessed value.
Okay, or I like this between those 3 or something in between. We'll talk about it on Friday.
Okay.
Well, I guess what I'm saying in general, this is kind of a difficult neighborhood to pin down, apples to apples, even adjusting some. I haven't looked at the comps that close yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see where the assessor got the original 619. If I take those first 2 comps only and leave out the ones that had more square footage, it does come to 619 with the adjusted values that he had. So I can kind of see where he got the 619, but that's only taking into account 2 comps, which we typically don't like to do. So I'm happy to hear that the assessor did offer to lower to the median value, but we'll talk about on Friday then where we want to end up.
I agree.
Danforth and Coltrane. Single owner. Is that typical that people stay?
Yeah, most of the houses were built in the early 1990s, and we've hardly had any built after 2000. I mean, this was a fast-built, high-quality neighborhood. 320 acres. No pool house. No. Everybody has their own pools, basically. Just like in my cul-de-sac, there's 6 houses and there's 5 pools. I would say that the majority of people in this neighborhood. So it has to factor in somewhat.
I did look at what we did last year with him, because he was here last year and he had some Zillow comps that he had pulled in. He was looking at a lot of square footage as well. We did agree to lower it from 601 to 559 last year.
Well, What was it in 23?
477. 477.
477, correct.
I will say this neighborhood has had an accelerated growth, much beyond the county average, just because of sales and still highly desirable. Most homes have been remodeled at some point. Kind of looks like Nichols Hills when you go through it during the day. Everybody's got contractor trucks in front of their houses.
Okay.
Except me. For the record.
Okay, we'll close BOE number 51. And that'll be the last item on our agenda. So we meet tomorrow. How many do we have tomorrow? Seven, yeah. Okay. One's a phone. First one's a phone call. First one. All right, if there's nothing more, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.